Hello there, and welcome to the Sleepy History Channel. Tonight, we are traveling back into the daily life of a caveman. This was an age of ancient humans, whose lives were shaped by skill, memory, and constant awareness. Every day required knowledge that most of us have lost. A person had to understand the land with care. A family had to make shelter from what the world provided. A meal could depend on choices made long before hunger arrived. People learned by watching. They survived by cooperating. They carried stories in their minds because memory could mean safety. The more we uncover, the more familiar these ancient lives become. Their world was harsh, and it was full of decisions, relationships, and invention. If you enjoy these gentle journeys, I invite you to like, subscribe, or share a thought below. It helps others find their way here too, one sleepy soul at a time. But for now, all you need to do is settle in. Let your shoulders soften. Allow your breathing to slow. And as the day begins to fade, join me as we explore this ancient human world together. Let's begin. Cavemen were skilled survivors who understood nature with remarkable precision. To stay alive, a person needed more than strength. They needed attention. A broken twig could show that an animal had passed recently. A change in bird calls could warn that something had disturbed the trees. The shape of a cloud could help decide whether to travel or stay near shelter. This knowledge was not written down, yet it was tested every day against hunger, cold, and danger. People learned which plants were useful, which stones broke cleanly, and which tracks were too old to follow. They had to know the habits of animals without frightening them away. They had to remember where water might appear after rain. In many ways, daily life was a living science. It came from patient observation, shared memory, and hard experience. The world was not a backdrop to them. It was a system of signs, and reading it well could mean another sunrise. Many prehistoric families lived in shelters, not caves. The word caveman can make us imagine people spending most of their lives deep underground or in mountain caves. In reality, caves were only one kind of refuge. Many groups lived in open-air camps, especially when the weather was mild or food was nearby. Archaeologists have found traces of shelters made from branches, animal hides, stones, and even mammoth bones. Some were simple windbreaks. Others were carefully arranged living spaces with hearths, work areas, and places to sleep. A cave could be useful because it offered protection from wind and rain, but it was not always comfortable. It could be damp, dark, smoky, and already occupied by animals. A shelter built outside gave people more control over sunlight, movement, and access to food. What mattered most was not the appeal of the cave. It was location. A good home needed safety, resources, and a way to watch the world around it. Fire changed bedtime, mealtime, safety, and storytelling forever. Before fire was controlled, darkness had a different power. Nightfall could shorten activity, hide predators, and turn cold into a serious threat. A hearth changed that. It gave people warmth when temperatures dropped. It made meat easier to chew and roots easier to digest. It helped keep dangerous animals at a distance, and it drew people together after the work of the day. Around the flames, hands could repair tools. Children could watch adults closely. Stories could be shared with faces lit just enough to be seen. Fire also changed the taste and safety of food. Cooking could reduce parasites, soften tough fibers, and release more energy from what people ate. Yet fire needed care. Someone had to gather fuel, control sparks, and protect the embers. A hearth was not just useful. It was a center of attention. a shared responsibility, and one of the greatest turning points in human daily life. Stone Age children learn survival through play, watching, and practice. The child in a prehistoric camp was not waiting for adulthood to begin. Learning started early, often by copying small pieces of adult work. A young person might watch how a hide was scraped, how a stone was struck, or how a plant was handled safely. Play probably mattered because it turned serious skills into repeated practice. Throwing games could improve aim. Climbing could build balance. Tracking games could sharpen attention to the ground. Children may have used smaller tools, weaker bows, or blunt practice weapons before being trusted with dangerous tasks. This kind of learning did not require a classroom. It happened beside fires, near water, along trails, and around work that had to be done. Mistakes could be corrected by older relatives. Curiosity could be guided by people who remembered what had worked before. Childhood was still childhood, but it was also an apprenticeship in noticing, moving, making, and surviving. Some cavemen cared for injured people who could not hunt. Prehistoric life could be unforgiving, yet the evidence suggests it was not without compassion. Some ancient skeletons show injuries or illnesses that a person could not easily have survived alone. Broken bones healed. Teeth were lost long before death. Severe disabilities sometimes lasted for years. That means someone helped. Food had to be shared. Movement had to be slowed. Protection had to be offered when a person could not contribute in the usual way. This matters because it changes the way we picture ancient communities. Survival was not only about the strongest individual. It also depended on bonds strong enough to carry people through weakness. An injured hunter might still know animal roots. An elder with worn teeth might still remember where water could be found. In those traces of healing, we glimpse not just endurance, but belonging. Daily life depended on cooperation more than brute strength. No single person could master every task needed for survival. A group needed people who could track, gather, make tools, care for children, prepare hides, remember routes, and judge risk. Strength mattered, but coordination mattered more. A hunt could fail if people moved too soon. A camp could suffer if fuel was not collected before cold arrived. A child could be lost if no one watched the edge of the group. Cooperation also allowed people to share uncertainty. One person might know that a plant was edible. Another might know where it grew after rain. Someone else might know how to prepare it safely. Shared knowledge made the group smarter than any individual. This does not mean life was peaceful all the time. Human groups could argue, compete, and make mistakes. Yet the basic pattern is clear. Daily survival was a collective achievement, built from trust, teaching, and shared attention. A good campsite needed water, shelter, fuel, and safe visibility. Choosing where to stop for the night was a serious decision. Water had to be close enough to reach, but not so close that flooding or animal traffic became a problem. Fuel mattered because fire required a steady supply of wood, brush, or other burnable material. The ground had to be dry if possible. A sheltered position could block wind, but a hidden position might also make danger harder to see. Visibility helped people notice animals, strangers, or changing weather. The best places were not always the most comfortable at first glance. A slightly raised area near a river bend might offer better protection than a flat patch beside the bank. Archaeologists can sometimes recognize these choices from repeated layers of ash, stone fragments, and discarded bones. A campsite was not random. It was a carefully chosen compromise between comfort, access, and safety in a living landscape. Hunter-gatherer groups often moved before local resources ran thin. Movement was not always a desperate escape from hunger. Often, it was a strategy. People knew that staying too long in one place could exhaust nearby plants, scare away animals, or fill the camp with waste. By moving at the right time, a group allowed the land to recover while following new opportunities elsewhere. Seasonal patterns guided many journeys. A valley might offer spring plants. A river might become useful when fish were running. A higher slope might be better when summer heat changed animal movements. This rhythm required memory across years, not just days. People had to know where to go next and what might be available when they arrived. Mobility also kept social connections alive. Groups could meet others, exchange materials, and share news. A life on the move was not aimless wandering. It was a planned relationship with changing places, built around timing, knowledge, and restraint. Some caves were seasonal homes rather than permanent addresses. A cave could be valuable at one time of year and unpleasant at another. In winter, it might shield people from storms. In warmer seasons, it might become too damp, too smoky, or too far from the best food sources. Archaeological layers often show repeated visits rather than constant occupation. A group might return to the same cave because it sat near a migration route, a reliable spring, or a useful stone source. Over time, traces accumulated on the floor. Ash from hearths mixed with broken tools, animal bones, charcoal, and scraps left behind after work. These layers can read like a slow diary of return. Sometimes different groups used the same shelter across long stretches of time, separated by generations. The cave itself became a remembered place. It was not necessarily a permanent home. It was part of a wider map of movement, chosen when its advantages matched the season. Early shoes may have changed how human toes evolved. The first footwear did more than protect feet from sharp stones or freezing ground. It may have altered the way human bodies carried themselves. When people walk barefoot across rough terrain, the toes grip, spread, and work hard with every step. Shoes reduce some of that strain. Over many generations, regular footwear may have changed the stress placed on toe bones, especially the smaller ones. Archaeologists cannot always find ancient shoes because leather and plant fibers decay easily, but bones can preserve clues. In some later prehistoric skeletons, toe bones appear less robust, which may suggest that footwear had become common. This is a remarkable thought. A simple covering tied around the foot could become powerful enough to leave a trace in anatomy. Shoes also allowed longer travel across ice, stone, and thorny ground. They were not just clothing. They were tools for movement, quietly changing the relationship between the human body and the earth. Flutes made from bone prove that music echoed through Ice Age evenings. Among the most moving prehistoric finds are flutes made from bird bone or mammoth ivory. Some are tens of thousands of years old. Their makers hollowed, shaped, and pierced them with care, creating instruments that could produce deliberate notes. This tells us something extraordinary. People living in harsh Ice Age conditions still devoted time to sound, beauty, and shared experience. A flute required material selection and skilled manufacture. Bird bones were naturally hollow, which made them useful, but they were also fragile. Ivory was harder to work, yet it could be shaped into lasting instruments. Imagine the scene not as fantasy, but as human reality. After a day of work, someone lifts a small carved object and breathes through it. A tune rises in the shelter. Others listen, recognize, or join. The existence of these flutes shows that music was not a late luxury. It belonged to ancient life, carried by breath through cold air. Prehistoric meals were far more varied than simple roasted meat. dinner in the deep past was not one endless scene of hunters eating around a fire. Food depended on place, season, weather, and luck. In some regions, people gathered berries, nuts, roots, seeds, eggs, shellfish, insects, and edible leaves. Along rivers, fish could be caught with spears, traps, or hooks. Near coasts, shellfish were a dependable source of protein because they could not run away. In colder landscapes, animal fat was especially prized because it gave dense energy. Plant foods mattered too, even when they leave fewer traces in the ground. Burned seeds, grinding stones, and microscopic plant remains reveal quiet meals that once vanished completely. People tasted, tested, remembered, and taught one another what was safe. Some foods needed soaking. Some needed pounding. Some became useful only after cooking. A prehistoric meal was not primitive in the simple sense. It was local knowledge served in edible form, shaped by generations of experience. Neanderthals made glue before farming, writing, or metal existed. One of the most surprising achievements of Neanderthal technology was a dark, sticky material made from birch bark. Birch tar could be used to attach stone pieces to wooden handles, creating stronger tools than stone alone. The remarkable part is how difficult this can be. Bark must be heated in controlled conditions, often with limited oxygen, so useful tar can form without simply burning everything away. That requires more than accidental discovery. It suggests planning, experiment, and careful control of heat. Once made, the adhesive helped create composite tools. A sharp edge could become part of a spear, scraper, or cutting implement. This changed how force moved through the hand. It made tools more durable and more adaptable. The tar itself also tells a deeper story. Long before metal workshops or pottery kilns, ancient humans and their close relatives were already transforming raw materials with chemistry, patience, and practical imagination. Animal bones helped people read the landscape like a map. For prehistoric people, bones were not just leftovers from meals. They were records of movement, weather, and opportunity. The animals found in a region could reveal what the land offered at a particular time. Reindeer bones might suggest cold open country. Fish bones could point to water use. Bird bones might show seasonal visits. Hunters also studied living animals through the signs they left behind. A fresh carcass could show that predators were near. Gnawed bones could reveal which scavengers had passed through. Antlers, teeth, and growth patterns could help people understand age and season. After an animal was processed, its bones could become tools, fuel, ornaments, or teaching material. Archaeologists now read old bone piles for clues about ancient decisions. Prehistoric people were doing their own version of that reading while life was happening. Each bone carried information, and information could lead to food, safety, or better timing. Stone tools could be sharper than modern steel scalpels. A freshly struck flake of flint or obsidian can have an edge so fine that it cuts with startling ease. That sharpness comes from the way certain stones fracture. When struck at the right angle, they break in smooth curves, leaving thin edges that can slice hide, meat, sinew, or plant fibers. This was not just smashing rocks together. Skilled toolmakers understood force, angle, texture, and the hidden structure of the stone. One strike could create a useful blade. Another could ruin the piece entirely. Different tasks needed different edges. A scraper for hides was not the same as a point for hunting. A small flake could be perfect for delicate work. Some tools were retouched again and again until they became smaller than when they began. The sharpness of stone reminds us that technology does not need metal to be sophisticated. In practiced hands, stone became precision. Ancient footprints preserve ordinary days better than royal tombs. Bones can tell us who lived and died, but footprints can catch people in motion. A trail pressed into mud or ash may show direction, speed, body size, and sometimes the presence of children beside adults. The most powerful thing about footprints is their immediacy. Someone stepped there. Their weight shifted. Their toes pushed into the ground. Then the surface hardened, and the passing moment survived for thousands or even millions of years. Unlike a tool, a footprint was not made to last. That is what makes it feel so close. It can preserve a walk across a wet surface, a pause near water, or a group moving through the same place at different times. In rare cases, animal tracks appear nearby, giving the scene a wider setting. These impressions do not show kings or battles. They show movement. They turn prehistory from an idea into a sequence of human steps. Making one spear point required patience, skill, and steady hands. A spear point began long before it was attached to a shaft. First, the maker needed the right stone. Not every rock would do. The material had to fracture predictably, hold an edge, and survive impact. Then came the shaping. Flakes were removed in careful sequences, each strike changing the balance of the piece. Pressure might be applied with bone or antler to refine the edges. Too much force could snap the point. Too little could leave it heavy or uneven. The finished object also had to fit its purpose. A hunting point needed to penetrate and stay secure. It might be bound to wood with sinew, plant fiber, or adhesive. The shaft itself had to be straightened and balanced. What looked simple from a distance was really a chain of decisions. A good spear point was stored knowledge, made visible through hands that understood material, motion, and consequence. Prehistoric people carried toolkits across surprisingly long distances. A person moving through Ice Age country could not assume that useful stone would appear whenever it was needed. Good raw material was unevenly scattered. Some flint, chert, or obsidian sources were valuable enough that people carried pieces far from where they were collected. These transported stones revealed planning. A group might prepare cores that could later produce sharp flakes on demand. They might carry finished points, scrapers, or blades wrapped safely for future use. Every object added weight, so the toolkit had to be practical. Too little equipment could become dangerous. Too much could slow the journey. Archaeologists can sometimes trace stone back to distant geological sources, showing that materials moved across impressive ranges. Some movement came from travel. Some may have come through exchange between groups. Either way, a toolkit was more than a bag of objects. It was portable possibility, carried through uncertain landscapes. Cave art shows minds filled with memory, planning, and imagination. Deep inside certain caves, ancient artists created animals with astonishing confidence. These paintings were not careless doodles on stone. Many show careful knowledge of movement, muscle, posture, and behavior. A painted horse might seem ready to step forward. A bison might twist with the force of a living body. To make these images, people had to prepare pigments, bring light, choose a surface, and work in spaces that were sometimes difficult to reach. The act itself required planning. It also required shared meaning, because not every wall was painted and not every cave was used in the same way. Some artists used the shape of the rock to strengthen the image. A natural bulge could become an animal's shoulder. A crack could suggest a back or horn. These places show that prehistoric people were not only surviving, they were remembering the world, interpreting it, and turning experience into lasting marks. A broken flint blade could still become something useful. Waste was not treated the way modern people often treat it. If a tool broke, it did not instantly become rubbish. A snapped blade might be reshaped into a scraper. A dull edge could be retouched into a cutting flake. A small leftover piece could serve for piercing, trimming, or scraping. This habit of reuse makes sense in a world where good material took effort to find. Even tiny fragments could matter if they saved time at the right moment. Archaeological sites often contain flakes from repair work, showing how people maintained their tools as part of daily life. A broken object also carried a history of use. Its shape recorded earlier decisions, mistakes, repairs, and adaptations. This is one reason stone tools are so valuable to researchers. They reveal not just what people made, but how they responded when things changed. A fracture was not always an ending. It could be a new beginning. Bone needles allowed Ice Age people to sew fitted clothing. A needle with an eye may seem ordinary, but in the Ice Age, it was a remarkable invention. It allowed thread made from sinew or plant fiber to pass through pierced hide in a controlled way. That made clothing more fitted, more layered, and more protective against freezing air. Loose hides could cover the body, but sewn garments could close gaps where wind entered. Sleeves, leggings, footwear, and hoods became more achievable with careful stitching. Making the needle itself required fine work. Bone had to be shaped, smoothed, and pierced without breaking. The thread had to be strong enough to pull through hide. Every stitch represented labor. This technology also suggests an eye for comfort and appearance. Clothing could protect, but it could also show identity through cut, decoration, or materials. The needle was small enough to fit in the palm, yet it helped humans live in places where skin alone could not survive. Warm clothing may have helped humans survive freezing mammoth country. In the coldest parts of the Ice Age, survival depended on trapping heat close to the body. People living near glaciers or open steppe faced winds that could turn exposed skin into danger. Animal hides offered protection, but warmth depended on how they were prepared and worn. Fur could be placed inward for insulation. Layers could be adjusted during travel or rest. Foot coverings were especially important because cold ground drained heat quickly. Clothing also had to allow movement. A hunter could not be wrapped so tightly that throwing, walking, or carrying became impossible. Preparing hides took scraping, drying, softening, and sometimes smoking. Seams had to resist stress. Fastenings had to hold. In such climates, clothing was not decoration added after survival. It was survival itself. The ability to turn animal skin into wearable protection opened whole regions of the world and made human life possible under brutal skies. Fur, hide, and sinew formed the first outdoor technology. Long before fabric shops or metal fasteners, people built survival from the bodies of animals they hunted. A hide could become a cloak, a sleeping mat, a shelter covering, or a container for carrying supplies. Fur kept warmth close because the trapped air between hairs acted like insulation. Sinew, taken from tendons, could be dried, split into fibers, and used as strong thread or binding cord. These materials were not simply taken and worn. They had to be worked. A skin needed scraping to remove fat and tissue. It might be stretched, softened, smoked, or rubbed with substances that helped preserve it. Sinew had to be prepared carefully so it would not snap at the wrong moment. This was technology made without factories, but it was not simple. Every usable strip of hide represented knowledge of texture, weather, decay, and strength. In a cold or shifting world, animal materials became portable shelter, repair kit, and protection in one. A simple hearth could become the center of social life. In a prehistoric camp, the place where flames burned often became more than a cooking spot. It was where people gathered when work slowed and the world outside grew darker. Around it, adults could shape tools, mend clothing, prepare food, and teach children by example. The heat drew bodies close, which made conversation easier. The light created a shared focus. A hearth also organized space. Sleeping places might form nearby. Work areas could be arranged around it. Ash and charcoal built up in layers, leaving traces that archaeologists still find. Sometimes a hearth was used once. Sometimes the same spot was returned to again and again until the ground itself held the memory of repeated evenings. It is easy to overlook such a small circle of stones or ash, yet it may have been one of the most important places in daily life. It turned a temporary camp into a human gathering place. Smoke kept insects away as well as warming the shelter. Anyone who has sat near a campfire knows that smoke can be annoying, but in prehistory, it had real value. Mosquitoes, flies, and other biting insects could make warm seasons miserable. They could disturb sleep, irritate skin, and threaten health. A smoky fire helped create a zone where people and stored food were less attractive to pests. In shelters, smoke could also affect hides and meat, helping to dry or preserve them when conditions were right. Managing it took experience. Too little smoke gave little protection. Too much made eyes sting and lungs suffer. People had to choose fuel carefully because damp wood, dry brush, bone, and dung could burn differently. The direction of the wind mattered. The opening of a shelter mattered. A fire was therefore not just lit and forgotten. It had to be tended as a living tool. Smoke was uncomfortable, but it could make camp more bearable and safer. Firelight extended the useful day after sunset. Once darkness fell, natural light could vanish almost completely, especially during moonless nights. Fire changed the schedule of human life. It allowed people to continue tasks that would otherwise wait for morning. Someone could scrape a hide, repair a binding, shape a tool, or prepare food while others rested nearby. This extra time mattered because daylight was often filled with travel, gathering, hunting, and water collection. Firelight also created a different kind of attention. People sitting close together could watch hands move, hear instructions, and share details that might be missed during the busy day. The flames did not make night safe in the modern sense, but they made it usable. They turned darkness from a barrier into a slower part of the day. Imagine the difference this made across generations. More time to teach, more time to plan, more time to remember. A small glow could change the rhythm of an entire community. Roasting meat made calories easier for the body to use. Raw meat can feed a person, but heat changes it in important ways. Cooking begins to break down muscle fibers and connective tissue, which makes chewing easier and digestion less costly. That matters because energy spent processing food is energy not available for warmth, movement, or growth. Heat can also reduce some harmful microbes and parasites, making a meal safer. For prehistoric people, roasting was more than flavor. It was a way of unlocking value from a hardworm animal. A tough piece that might be difficult to eat could become softer over embers. Bones placed near heat could help release fat or marrow. Cooking also made sharing easier because food could be divided and eaten by people with different needs, including children and elders. The smell alone may have drawn the group together. A roasted meal was therefore not just a feast. It was biology, safety, and community gathered around heat. Cooking tough roots may have opened hidden food supplies. Many plants protect themselves with bitterness, toughness, or chemistry that makes them hard to eat. Underground storage organs, such as roots, bulbs, and tubers, can hold valuable energy. but they may be fibrous or difficult to digest when raw. Heat changes that. Cooking can soften plant tissue and make starches more available. It can also reduce certain unpleasant or harmful compounds depending on the plant. This opened a hidden pantry beneath the soil. A landscape that looked bare at first glance might still contain food if a person knew where to dig and how to prepare what was found. Such knowledge was not guessed in a single afternoon. It came from careful testing and teaching. The difference between nourishment and illness could depend on preparation. For people living through lean seasons, roots may have been crucial. They were not dramatic like a hunt, but they could keep a family alive when larger animals were elsewhere. Burned seeds reveal quiet dinners from thousands of years ago. A seed is small enough to vanish almost instantly, yet fire can sometimes preserve it. When seeds are charred rather than turned fully to ash, they can survive in the ground for astonishing lengths of time. Archaeologists recover these blackened fragments by carefully washing ancient soil and letting tiny remains float to the surface. Under magnification, a burned seed can identify a plant that someone gathered, cooked, spilled, or stored. This gives us a rare glimpse of meals that left no bones behind. It also challenges the idea that ancient diets were mostly about large animals. Seeds show attention to seasonal plants and small sources of nutrition. They can reveal repeated use of particular areas, changes in diet, and even early experimentation with grinding or heating. A burned seed is not impressive to look at. It is a speck, yet it can carry the memory of hands, hunger, and an ordinary meal beside a long-dead fire. Some Stone Age people ground wild grains before farming began. Grinding grain is often associated with settled farming villages, but the habit began earlier in some places. People gathered wild grasses, carried the seeds back to camp, and crushed them between stones. This work could turn tiny hard grains into meal that was easier to cook or mix with water. It required patience because wild grains are small and seasonal. They had to be collected at the right time, cleaned and processed. Grinding stones can preserve scratches, polish, and microscopic plant residues that reveal this labor. The discovery is fascinating because it blurs the line between hunter-gatherers and farmers. People did not suddenly wake up one day and invent agriculture from nothing. Long before fields were planted, they were already learning which plants were worth returning to and which seeds could be transformed through effort. A handful of wild grain could become food because human hands turned scattered grass into a usable meal. Honey was likely one of the sweetest wild treasures. In a world without refined sugar, honey would have been extraordinary. It offered intense sweetness, quick energy, and a taste unlike almost anything else available. Getting it was not easy. Wild bee nests could be hidden in trees, rock cracks, or high places. Collecting honey meant facing stings and sometimes climbing or smoking out a hive. Ancient rock art in some regions shows people reaching for honeycombs, which suggests the prize was worth the risk. Honey was not only food. Beeswax could be useful for light, sealing, hafting, or shaping. The comb itself offered larvae and wax, along with the golden liquid. Its value may have made honey gathering a memorable event in seasonal life. Imagine the excitement of finding a hive after days of plain food. For children, elders, and tired travelers, a little honey would have felt almost miraculous. It was nature's rare sweetness, guarded by insects and gathered with nerve. Shellfish gave coastal families reliable food with little danger. Along shorelines, food could be found where land and sea met. Shellfish were especially valuable because many could be collected without chasing, stalking, or facing large animals. Mussels, limpets, clams, and oysters often lived in predictable places. People who understood tides could gather them at the right moment, then cook or open them near camp. Shell middens, which are heaps of discarded shells, show that some coastal groups return to these foods again and again. The remains can become enormous over time, almost like monuments made from meals. Shellfish also provided minerals and protein, and they could support people when hunting on land was uncertain. Of course, knowledge still mattered. Some waters could be dangerous because of toxins, and rough coasts carried their own risks. Yet compared with many hunts, shellfish offered dependable reward. The shore was not just scenery. It was a living storehouse, uncovered and covered again by the rhythm of the tide. Fishing hooks show that dinner sometimes came from deep water. A hook is a small object with a big idea inside it. It allows a person to reach beyond the shoreline and bring hidden animals out of water. Early hooks were made from bone, shell, thorn, or carved wood, depending on local materials. Their shapes reveal careful thinking. The curve had to hold bait, catch in a mouth, and resist breaking under strain. Fishing also required patience and knowledge of behavior. People had to understand where fish gathered, when they fed, and what might tempt them. In some places, deep water fishing suggests impressive confidence with boats or rafts. The catch could include species that never came close to shore. This means prehistoric diets were sometimes connected to watery worlds that could not be seen from land. A hook was quiet technology. It did not thunder like a mammoth hunt, yet it opened a whole realm of food beneath the surface. Nets may have fed more people than spears did. A spear catches one target at a time, if the throw is good. A net can gather many. That simple difference may have made netting one of the most powerful food technologies of prehistory. Nets could be used for fish, birds, rabbits, or other small animals, depending on how they were made and placed. They required cordage, and cordage required fibers prepared with care. Twisting plant strands or sinew into usable line took time, but the result could transform daily life. A well-placed net could work while people waited, watched, or guided animals toward it. It could also involve several members of a group, including those who were not strong enough for dangerous hunts. Unfortunately, ancient nets rarely survive because fibers decay. Their shadow remains in impressions, tools used to make cord, and later traditions. The idea is striking. Some of the most important prehistoric tools may have been soft, flexible, and almost invisible to archaeology. People followed animal migrations with careful seasonal knowledge. Large herds could shape the calendar of human movement. Reindeer, bison, horses, and other animals did not wander randomly. They followed food, weather, breeding cycles, and safe routes across the landscape. People who depended on them had to think ahead. A herd might pass through a valley only during a narrow part of the year. Miss that window, and the opportunity was gone. Following animals required memory of river crossings, grazing grounds, sheltered passes, and dangerous bottlenecks. It also required restraint because overhunting a place could weaken future returns. Seasonal knowledge tied people to time as much as to land. A group might know when certain tracks would appear, when young animals would be vulnerable, or when fact reserves were highest. This was not blind pursuit. It was a relationship with moving life. The animals carried their own map through the year, and skilled people learned to travel along its edge. A mammoth hunt required planning long before the chase began. Bringing down a mammoth was not a matter of rushing at a giant animal with courage alone. It demanded preparation. People had to know where a herd might move, which individuals were vulnerable, and how the ground could help or hinder the effort. A slope, marshy patch, riverbank, or narrow route could become part of the plan. Weapons had to be ready before the encounter. Communication had to be clear. The danger was real because a wounded mammoth could kill a person quickly. Success may have required driving, surrounding, or isolating an animal, rather than simply throwing spears at random. Afterward came another enormous task. The body had to be butchered before scavengers arrived. Meat, fat, hide, bone, and ivory all had potential uses. One animal could feed and supply a group for some time. The hunt itself was only the most dramatic moment in a much longer chain of knowledge and labor. Small game often mattered more than dramatic big hunts. The most famous prehistoric images show enormous animals, but daily meals may often have depended on humbler prey. Rabbits, birds, fish, tortoises, and other small animals could be easier to find than a giant herd. They were less dangerous to capture, and they might be available when large game had moved away. Small prey could also be gathered by children, elders, or people working near camp, depending on the method used. Traps, snares, digging sticks, stones, and nets could all help. This kind of food rarely feels heroic in popular imagination, yet it may have kept people alive through long stretches of ordinary time. A single rabbit did not feed everyone, but many small successes could add up. Archaeological bone piles sometimes show repeated use of these overlooked animals. Survival often belonged not to the biggest kill, but to the reliable catch. Prehistoric life was built from small victories as much as spectacular ones. Women probably gathered much of the daily food supply. In many hunter-gatherer societies known from historical study, plant gathering and small food collection provided a major share of calories. While roles varied widely between groups, it is likely that women often made essential contributions through gathering, processing, and deep knowledge of edible landscapes. This was not secondary work. A person collecting plants needed to know seasons, growth stages, poisonous lookalikes, storage methods, and preparation techniques. A mistaken choice could make people sick. A good choice could feed children, elders, and tired hunters. Gathering also meant reading subtle changes in the land. A patch that looked empty to one person might be full of roots to another. Seeds, nuts, leaves, berries, and tubers all followed their own timing. This kind of work required memory and judgment, not just time. The old image of men providing everything through hunting is far too simple. Daily survival depended on a wider food economy, and women were often central to it. Children may have spotted edible plants adults walked past. Small eyes close to the ground can notice things that taller people miss. A child moving slowly near camp might see berries under leaves, bird eggs in low nests, mushrooms after rain, or fresh shoots pushing through soil. In a foraging life, curiosity could become useful. Children were not necessarily passive mouths to feed. As they grew, they could contribute small finds while learning what mattered. Adults would have corrected mistakes and taught caution, because not every bright berry or tender leaf was safe. Over time, the child's attention became trained. They learned smell, texture, season, and place. Their discoveries may have been modest, but modest food mattered. A handful of nuts, a cluster of edible greens, or a patch of tubers could add variety and energy to a meal. The idea is charming because it makes ancient childhood feel vivid. Learning the world may have begun with noticing something tiny that everyone else had stepped over. Grandparents helped preserve knowledge that kept families alive. In a world without books, older people could become living archives. They remembered places that produced food after rare weather. They knew which winters had been hardest. They could tell when a familiar route had become unsafe. Grandparents also helped with children, freeing younger adults for demanding work. Their value was not always measured in speed or strength, It was measured in memory, judgment, and calm experience. A person who'd survived many seasons carried lessons that younger people had not yet had time to learn. They might recognize signs of illness, teach tool-making habits, or settle disputes before they threatened group unity. This may be one reason long human lifespans matter so much. Older adults extend knowledge beyond a single generation. They let a community remember events that no child has seen. In prehistoric life, a grandparent's story could be practical information disguised as memory, and that memory could save lives. Elders could remember safe routes through dangerous landscapes. A landscape changes, but not all at once. Rivers shift, paths flood. Rockfalls block familiar passages. Predators favor certain areas. People with long experience could carry mental maps shaped by years of travel. An elder might remember where a crossing was shallow in late summer, where storms gathered first, or where shelter could be found if weather turned. Such knowledge was especially important during journeys between seasonal camps. The wrong route could waste energy or expose the group to danger. The right one could save days. These routes were not marked with signs. They lived in spoken directions, landmarks, gestures, and repeated movement. A ridge, a bend in a river, or a distinctive stone could guide the way. Young people learned by walking with those who already knew. In this sense, geography was inherited. The land was not just seen. It was remembered through people, and elders helped keep that memory accurate. Prehistoric babies were carried close through long days of work. Human infants are helpless for a long time, and prehistoric parents could not pause survival until a baby grew stronger. Carrying was essential. A baby might be held against the body in a sling, wrap, or hide carrier, leaving the adult's hands freer for gathering, walking, or simple camp tasks. Close carrying helped keep the infant warm and calm. It also allowed feeding and comforting without stopping everything. The sound of adult voices, the rhythm of walking, and the steady contact of skin or fur would have shaped a baby's earliest world. This practice also had social effects. Other relatives could carry the child, building bonds beyond the mother alone. Archaeology rarely preserves slings, but the need for them is easy to understand. A mobile life required mobile childcare. The smallest members of the group traveled inside the daily movement of everyone else, learning faces, sounds, and safety before they could speak. Childcare likely belonged to the whole group, not one parent. Raising a child in prehistoric life was too demanding for one person to manage alone. Babies needed carrying, feeding, warmth, protection, and attention. Older children needed teaching and watching. Shared care made survival more realistic. Aunts, uncles, siblings, grandparents, and trusted companions could all help. This wider care pattern is sometimes called cooperative breeding, and it may be one of humanity's great strengths. It allowed children to learn from many adults rather than only one. It also gave parents chances to gather food, make tools, or rest. Social bonds deepened through repeated acts of care. A child who was soothed by several people belonged to the group in a powerful way. Shared childcare also protected against disaster. If one parent became ill or died, others could step in. This does not make prehistoric life easy, but it shows a deeply human pattern. Survival was not only hunted or gathered, it was held. Young hunters practiced with small weapons before joining real hunts. No one becomes skilled with a spear by simply growing older. Young people had to practice. They may have thrown sticks at targets, used lighter spears, or aimed at small animals before joining dangerous pursuits. Practice built muscle memory, judgment of distance, and an understanding of how weapons behaved in air. It also taught restraint. Throw too early, and the animal escapes. Stand in the wrong place, and the hunter becomes the one in danger. Older hunters could correct posture, grip, timing, and choice of target. The learning was physical, but it was also social. A young person had to understand group signals and trust others during a chase. Mistakes during practice were survivable. Mistakes during a real hunt could injure people or waste a rare opportunity. By the time a youth joined a serious hunt, they were not simply being brave. They were carrying years of rehearsal in their hands. Ancient children left handprints beside adults on cave walls. Some cave walls preserve hand stencils of different sizes, including small ones that likely belonged to children or adolescents. To make such a mark, a hand was placed against stone while pigment was blown or dabbed around it. When the hand was lifted, its outline remained. The result feels immediate across immense time. It is not a face or a name, but it is still a presence. A child stood there, close enough to the wall to touch it, participating in an act that mattered to the group. These small hands challenged the idea that sacred or symbolic places belonged only to adults. Young people may have watched, learned, helped prepare pigment, or taken part in the marking itself. The handprint is simple, yet powerful. It says that childhood existed inside the shared life of meaning. In the darkness of a cave, someone young reached out, and the shape of that moment remained. Some tiny footprints show children explored deep caves too. In certain ancient caves, small footprints appear far from daylight. They show that children sometimes moved through underground passages with adults, or perhaps in groups of their own. This is astonishing because deep caves are not casual spaces. They are dark, uneven, and potentially dangerous. Anyone entering needed light, confidence, and some knowledge of the route back. A child's print in soft clay can reveal pace, direction, and size. Sometimes the footprints run, wander, or follow others. They make prehistory feel startlingly alive. We can imagine the sound of breathing, the flicker of a torch, and the careful placement of feet on damp ground. These traces do not tell us exactly why the children were there. They may have been part of teaching, ritual, exploration, or simple curiosity. What they do show is that young people were not absent from mysterious places. They walked into the deep dark, and the floor remembered them. Play may have taught tracking, throwing, climbing, and balance. For children, play is fun. For a prehistoric community, it could also be preparation. A chasing game might train speed and awareness. Throwing stones at a mark could teach aim. Balancing on logs could strengthen feet and legs for rough terrain. Pretending to follow tracks could train the eyes to notice pattern and disturbance. None of this had to feel like formal education. That is the genius of play. It repeats skills without making every moment heavy. Young animals do something similar, and human children likely did too. The difference is that humans could fold imagination into practice. A game could become a pretend hunt, a pretend journey, or a pretend danger. Adults may have encouraged useful games because they saw how quickly children learned through them. In a world where mistakes could be costly, play offered a safer training ground. Laughter and survival were not opposites. Sometimes they grew together. Stories helped people remember danger without facing it directly. A warning is easier to remember when it becomes a story. Instead of simply saying that a place is unsafe, an elder could tell what happened there. A hidden marsh, a bad crossing, a poisonous plant, or a predator's den could become part of a spoken account that stayed in the mind. Stories gave shape to danger. They allowed people to learn from events they had not personally survived. They could also carry emotional weight, which makes memory stronger. Around a fire or during a walk, a young person might hear why certain choices mattered. Do not sleep near that water. Do not eat that root unless it has been prepared. Do not follow tracks alone in fading light. We cannot recover the exact words, but the function is clear. Storytelling turned experience into shared protection. It let one person's mistake become everyone's knowledge, and that knowledge could outlive the person who first learned it. Songs may have carried knowledge across generations before writing. A melody can hold memory with unusual strength. Words attached to rhythm are easier to repeat, teach, and recall. Before writing, songs may have helped preserve information that mattered. They could encode roots, seasons, animal behavior, family histories, or rules for social life. The tune would act like a frame, keeping the words in order. People still use this power today when children learn through rhymes. In prehistoric communities, the stakes could be much higher. A song about a journey might help someone remember landmarks. A song about a plant might preserve when it could be gathered. A song about ancestors could keep relationships clear across generations. Music also travels through the body. It can be learned before a child fully understands every meaning. Later, the meaning unfolds. This makes song a remarkable vessel for old knowledge. Long before marks on a page, the human voice may have carried maps made of sound. Rhythmic music could strengthen group bonds around the fire. When people move or sing in time together, something powerful happens. The group begins to feel coordinated. Breathing, clapping, stepping, or vocal patterns can create a shared rhythm that makes individuals feel part of something larger. In prehistoric life, that mattered. Cooperation was essential, and music may have helped strengthen trust. Around a hearth, repeated rhythms could mark celebration, mourning, teaching, or the easing of tension after a difficult day. No one needed a complex instrument to begin. Hands, stones, sticks, and voices could create patterns. The effect may have been emotional as much as practical. Shared rhythm can calm fear, focus attention, and make memory easier. It can also help children learn the feeling of belonging. Archaeology cannot recover every song, but it can show that ancient people made instruments and chose resonant spaces. Music was not an extra decoration on life. It may have helped hold the social world together. Red ochre was used for bodies, objects, and cave walls. This deep red mineral was one of the most important materials in the prehistoric world. It could be scraped from deposits, ground into powder, and mixed with fat, water, or other binders. Once prepared, it became color with staying power. People used it on stone surfaces, but also on portable objects, and perhaps on skin. Its color may have reminded them of blood, heat, life, or transformation, although we cannot know every meaning it carried. What we can see is effort. Ochre was collected, processed, stored, and transported across landscapes. Some pieces show grooves where they were rubbed again and again, like ancient crayons worn by use. In caves, the red could outlast the hands that placed it there by tens of thousands of years. A simple mineral became a way to mark presence, memory, and identity. It turned earth into message, and that message still reaches us. Pigments had to be collected, crushed, mixed, and carried. A painted mark began far from the wall where it appeared. Someone first had to find the right mineral. Red ochre, yellow ochre, manganese, charcoal, and other materials all behaved differently. Some were soft enough to scrape. Others needed pounding with stone. The powder then had to be made usable, sometimes by blending it with liquid or fat so it would cling to rock. This process required tools, containers, and patience. It also required choice. A painter had to decide which color suited the surface and how to apply it. Fingers, pads of moss, chewed sticks, brushes, and blowing tubes may all have been used in different places. The pigment might be carried deep underground, along with a lamp or torch. By the time the image appeared, it was already the result of a long chain of actions. Ancient color was not casual. It was gathered from the land and transformed by human intention. Cave painters understood animal movement with astonishing accuracy. Some prehistoric paintings capture animals with such precision that they seem based on long, careful watching. A horse lowers its head with believable weight. A bison twists as if turning through space. A lion's body stretches in the tense posture of pursuit. These images show more than artistic talent. They reveal intimate knowledge of anatomy and behavior. The artists knew where a leg should bend. They understood the curve of a back and the energy of a shoulder. That kind of accuracy could only come from a life spent observing animals closely. Hunters and gatherers did not see animals as distant curiosities. Their movements mattered for food, danger, timing, and survival. To draw them well was to remember them well. Some figures may even suggest repeated motion through overlapping legs or heads. Long before animation, ancient people were finding ways to make still images feel alive. Some artists used cave shapes to make animals seem alive. A cave wall is rarely flat. It swells, cracks, dips, and folds. Prehistoric artists sometimes used those natural shapes with remarkable intelligence. A bulge in the rock could become the shoulder of an animal. A hollow could deepen a belly. A ridge could guide the line of a back. When firelight moved across these uneven surfaces, the image may have shifted in appearance. A painted horse could seem to breathe as shadows trembled. A bison could appear to emerge from the stone itself. This was not decoration placed on a blank page. It was a partnership with the cave. The artist had to study the surface before making a mark. They saw possibility where others might see only rough stone. The result can feel almost sculptural, even when made with pigment alone. These choices show that ancient image makers were not simply recording animals. They were using place, light, and surface to create presence. Hand stencils may have marked identity, memory, or belonging. A hand stencil is one of the most direct human traces in prehistory. The maker pressed a palm and fingers against rock, then blew or dabbed pigment around them. What remained was not the hand itself, but its absence outlined in color. These marks appear in many regions and over long spans of time. Some are large, some are small. Some show missing fingers, which may reflect folded fingers, injury, frostbite, or deliberate signs. Their meaning is still debated. They may have said, "I was here." They may have marked membership in a group. They may have been part of teaching, ritual, storytelling, or memory. What makes them powerful is their intimacy. Unlike an animal painting, a hand stencil preserves the exact scale of a living body. The person is gone, but the reach remains. Across immense time, a simple outline still feels like a greeting from another human being. Lascaux was not a home, but a painted underground world. The famous cave in southwestern France was not simply a place where people slept beside painted walls. Its chambers contain extraordinary images, yet the evidence does not suggest ordinary domestic life throughout the decorated spaces. People entered with purpose. They brought light, pigment, and the intention to work in darkness. The animals painted there include powerful bulls, horses, deer, and other forms arranged across walls and ceilings. Some areas would have required awkward movement and careful lighting. The scale of the images is astonishing. They seem designed for viewing, not casual marking during daily chores. This tells us that some caves had special roles in prehistoric life. They were visited, remembered, and treated differently from open camps or practical shelters. Lascaux invites us to imagine an ancient group stepping away from ordinary daylight into a place charged with meaning. It was not a bedroom with art. It was an underground space transformed by human attention. Chauvet artists drew lions with breathtaking confidence and skill. In the Chauvet cave of southern France, the animal images are older than many people once thought possible for such accomplished art. Among the most striking are lions, shown with alert bodies and intense forward movement. These were not tame symbols. Cave lions were real predators, larger than modern lions and deeply dangerous. To represent them so well, artists must have known their shape, posture, and behavior. The drawings show confident lines, shading, and composition. Some animals seem grouped in scenes, which gives a sense of tension and direction. This is remarkable because the images are not crude beginnings of art. They are already mature, controlled, and emotionally powerful. The cave suggests that artistic sophistication appeared very early in human history. People living in Ice Age Europe were not slowly stumbling toward expression. They were already capable of observation, memory, technique, and drama. Chauvet shows a mind looking at danger and making it unforgettable. Portable carvings let people carry meaning from camp to camp. Not all prehistoric art was fixed to walls. Some objects were small enough to hold, wear, or carry during travel. Carved bone, antler, ivory, and stone could move with people across the landscape. That made portable art different from cave painting. It could stay close to the body. It could be exchanged, inherited, hidden, or handled during important moments. A small carving might represent an animal, a human figure, or a shape whose meaning is now lost. Its surface could become smooth from touch. Its size made it intimate. In a mobile world, such objects may have helped people carry memory, identity, or connection between places. They also show that beauty and symbolism were not confined to special caves. They entered daily life through things that could fit in a pouch or palm. A tiny object could hold a large idea, traveling with its owner through cold, hunger, and change. The Lion Man figurine shows imagination older than cities. This remarkable Ice Age carving from Germany combines a human body with the head of a lion. It was made from mammoth ivory, a material that required patient shaping with stone tools. The figure is astonishing because it does not simply copy something seen in nature. It imagines a being that blends human and animal features. That tells us prehistoric minds could create hybrid forms, symbolic beings, and stories beyond direct observation. The carving also required planning because ivory cannot be reshaped easily once too much material is removed. Its maker had to hold the final form in mind while slowly bringing it out of the tusk. This object comes from a time long before cities, temples, kings, or writing. Yet the imagination behind it is unmistakably complex. Someone invested effort in making a figure that was not necessary for food or shelter. It shows that ancient life included wonder, fear, and ideas we can still feel, but not fully translate. Venus figurines suggest beauty had many ancient meanings. Across parts of Ice Age Europe, small female figurines have been found in stone, ivory, and fired clay. Many have exaggerated bodies and little detail in the face or feet. They are often called Venus figurines, although that modern name may shape our expectations too strongly. Their true meanings are unknown. They may have related to fertility, identity, protection, teaching, self-representation, or social memory. What matters is that they were made repeatedly over wide distances and long periods. Their makers chose to spend time shaping the human form, often in ways that emphasized the body rather than the individual face. Some could be held in the hand. Others may have been carried or placed in special contexts. They remind us that prehistoric people did not only picture animals, they also reflected on human bodies and human meanings. These figurines do not give easy answers, but they show that beauty in deep history was layered, deliberate, and culturally important. Beads made from shells could signal kinship, status, or exchange. A bead is small, but it can carry a message. Prehistoric people pierced shells, teeth, bone, or stone, and wore them as ornaments. This required time and care. A shell had to be chosen, shaped, drilled, and strung. Once worn, it became visible to others. It might show membership in a group, a personal history, a relationship, or access to distant materials. Some beads are found far from the coasts where shells originated, which means they moved through travel or exchange. Ornaments also make the body part of communication. A necklace or sewn decoration could say something before a word was spoken. It may have helped people recognize allies, family ties, or shared traditions. Beads could also be repaired, passed on, or buried with the dead. Their power lies in their portability. A tiny shell could turn distance into identity and make social connection visible on the human body. Some shells traveled farther than one person could easily walk. When archaeologists find marine shells deep inland, they reveal networks that stretched beyond a single camp. A shell collected from a shore might pass from hand to hand across hills, rivers, and territories. By the time it reached a distant group, it carried more than decoration. It carried evidence of contact. This movement could happen through direct travel, gift-giving, partnership, or exchange between neighboring communities. The distance matters because it shows that prehistoric people were not isolated bands with no wider world. They knew others. They maintained relationships. They valued materials from places they may never have seen. A shell from the sea could become meaningful in a landscape where no waves were heard. It might be worn as a sign of connection to faraway people, or as a rare object with special value. These small finds remind us that ancient lives were linked by roots of trust, curiosity, and communication across surprising distances. Obsidian blades reveal trade routes across prehistoric landscapes. Obsidian is volcanic glass, and it can be made into edges of extraordinary sharpness. It also has a useful secret for archaeologists. Different volcanic sources have distinct chemical signatures. That means a blade or flake can sometimes be traced back to the exact region where its raw material formed. When obsidian appears far from its source, it reveals movement across the landscape. People may have carried it themselves or received it through exchange. Either way, the material shows connections between places. Obsidian was valuable because it cut beautifully, but it could also be visually striking with its dark shine. A small blade might represent both practical technology and social value. These objects can outline ancient routes that no path still marks. They show that people understood rare materials and moved them with purpose. In the hands of a skilled maker, volcanic glass became a tool. In the ground, it became a map of human connection. Gift exchange may have kept peace between distant groups. Meeting strangers in the deep past could be risky, but it could also be essential. Groups needed access to mates, materials, information, and safe passage. Gifts may have helped turn uncertainty into relationship. A useful stone, a decorated object, prepared food, or a rare shell could carry goodwill. The value was not only in the object itself. It was in the obligation it created. Giving could open a conversation, mark trust, or renew an old bond. In small societies, social ties were survival tools. A group facing hunger might be helped by neighbors if relations had been maintained. A distant source of stone might be reached through friendly contact rather than conflict. Gift exchange also allowed news to travel. Who had seen herds, storms, illness, or danger? Objects moved, but so did knowledge. This is one of the quieter engines of prehistory. Peace was not automatic. It had to be made and remade through action. Friendly meetings could share mates, tools, stories, and news. Small groups could not thrive forever in complete isolation. They needed contact with others to avoid inbreeding, build alliances, and learn what was happening beyond their usual range. A meeting between groups may have been one of the most important events in a season. People could arrange partnerships, exchange materials, compare techniques, and renew social ties. Stories would have mattered because they carried information about places and events. A tale about a distant valley might include where animals had gone. A warning about a sickness could change travel plans. Young people might meet future partners. Toolmakers might notice a new method. Such gatherings were likely filled with attention because everyone had something to gain and something to risk. Cooperation did not erase tension, but it gave communities reasons to manage it. In a world without messages sent ahead by writing, face-to-face meetings were the great crossings where lives, knowledge, and futures changed direction. Language may have turned survival knowledge into a living library. Speech gave humans a way to store knowledge outside one person's direct experience. A skilled forager could describe a plant that was not currently in front of the group. A hunter could explain a mistake without forcing others to repeat it. A parent could prepare a child for danger before the child met it. Language also allowed people to plan actions that had not yet happened. They could decide where to move, who would carry what, and how to respond if conditions changed. This made the group's knowledge flexible. It could be questioned, corrected, and remembered. The power of language was not only in naming things, it was in linking time. Yesterday's lesson could guide tomorrow's journey. A place unseen by a child could already exist in that child's mind through words. Before writing, speech was the great archive. It lived in voices, memory, repetition, and trust. Tracking animals required reading mud, dung, feathers, and silence. A track was only one clue among many. Skilled trackers looked at broken grass, disturbed soil, scattered feathers, fresh droppings, hair caught on bark, and the behavior of nearby birds. They listened too. Sudden silence could matter. Alarm calls could reveal movement hidden by trees. A footprint showed that an animal passed, but other signs helped answer better questions. How long ago was it here? Was it moving fast? Was it alone? Was it healthy? Did it know it was being followed? Moisture, wind, insects, and sunlight could all change the evidence. Tracking was therefore a form of reasoning. It turned fragments into a story. The animal was not visible, yet its recent life could be reconstructed step by step. This skill required patience and restraint. Move too quickly, and the signs are missed. Read carefully, and the ground begins to speak in details. Skilled trackers could know an animal's speed from footprints. Footprints do not only show where an animal went, they can show how it moved. The spacing between tracks reveals stride length. The depth of the impression can hint at weight, speed, or sudden pressure. A fleeing animal may leave longer gaps and sharper marks where hooves or toes dug into the ground. A calm animal leaves a different pattern. Trackers could use these details to judge whether pursuit was worth the effort. If the animal was moving steadily and unaware, the group might follow. If it had bolted in fear, the trail might mean wasted energy. Speed also suggested condition. An injured animal might favor one side, drag a foot, or place weight unevenly. Reading this required practice across many encounters. It was not magic. It was accumulated observation. To modern eyes, footprints may look like simple marks. To a trained hunter, they could reveal urgency, weakness, direction, and opportunity. Weather signs mattered before every hunt or journey. Leaving camp without understanding the sky could be dangerous. A shift in wind might carry human scent toward animals and ruin a hunt. Darkening clouds could warn of rain that would erase tracks or swell streams. Sudden cold could make a night away from shelter life-threatening. People watched the behavior of animals, the feel of air, the color of light, and the movement of clouds. They had no printed forecast, but they had experience. Weather knowledge shaped decisions about travel, clothing, firewood, and where to sleep. It also affected sound. Damp air, wind direction, and snow could change how far noises carried. A good plan in clear weather might become foolish by evening. This made attention to conditions part of daily intelligence. The sky was not simply above people. It was part of the decision-making world. Every journey began with questions that could not be ignored. Stars may have helped people travel through open country. In open landscapes, night travel could be possible when the sky was clear. Stars offered fixed patterns that returned season after season. People may have used them to maintain direction across plains, deserts, sea routes, or frozen ground where landmarks were hard to see. We cannot know every method used in deep prehistory, but human groups everywhere have shown remarkable skill at reading the heavens. The rising and setting of familiar stars could help mark time. The position of certain patterns could anchor direction. Even without formal astronomy, repeated observation would teach what stayed reliable and what changed. Traveling by starlight also required courage because night carried risks. Yet in some climates, moving after sunset could avoid heat or make use of hard frozen surfaces. The sky became part of the landscape. It was not distant decoration. It could be a guide, a clock, and a reminder that human movement was tied to larger cycles. Moonlight changed when groups could hunt, move, or gather. The moon altered the practical possibilities of night. A bright full moon could make travel easier, reveal obstacles, and allow people to gather or work after sunset. It could also expose hunters to animals that might otherwise fail to see them. A dark moon made movement harder, but it could help conceal people during certain activities. The lunar cycle, therefore, affected timing. People who lived outdoors would have noticed the difference between a silver-lit path and a black night under cloud. Moonlight also influenced tides, which mattered for coastal gathering. Shellfish beds, fish traps, and shoreline routes could become easier or harder to use depending on the water's movement. The moon did not simply hang above prehistoric life. It changed the schedule of action on the ground. Its phases were part of planning, remembered through repeated experience. A family's choices could shift with that pale light as surely as with weather. Winter forced people to plan food long before hunger came. Cold seasons punished poor preparation. Plants became scarce. Animals changed routes. Water could freeze. Traveling grew harder. People needed strategies before the worst days arrived. Drying meat, storing fat, preserving hides, choosing sheltered camps, and knowing winter food sources could make the difference between endurance and crisis. Planning also meant judging how much to take from an area without destroying future supplies. In some places, groups may have cached food or materials where they expected to return. They also had to manage energy carefully. A long search in deep cold could cost more calories than it gained. Winter thinking was therefore slow thinking. It stretched beyond the immediate meal. People had to remember previous years, read early signs, and make decisions while there was still time. Hunger in winter was not caused only by emptiness. It could begin months earlier with missed opportunities. Survival depended on seeing the cold season before it arrived. Fat was one of the most valuable foods in cold climates. Protein alone is not enough for hard life in freezing conditions. The body needs dense energy, and animal fat provides it. In cold climates, fat helped people stay warm, travel, and survive periods when food was uncertain. It could be eaten directly, rendered, stored, or used in cooking. Certain parts of animals were especially prized because they held rich deposits. This may explain why prehistoric butchery often focused carefully on marrow, brains, belly fat, and other energy-dense tissues. Lean meat from a successful hunt could still leave people nutritionally strained if fat was scarce. That is a surprising lesson from the past. The most valuable prize was not always the biggest pile of meat. It was the energy hidden within it. Fat also had non-food uses. It could help prepare hides, fuel lamps, or bind pigments. In a cold world, a glossy piece of fat was warmth, light, and stored survival. Marrow from bones gave rich energy after a hunt. After the meat was cut away, the bones still mattered. Inside many limb bones lay marrow, a fatty tissue packed with energy. Getting it required effort. People cracked bones with stones, often targeting specific parts where the reward was greatest. The sound of bone breaking after a hunt may have been a familiar part of camp life. Marrow could be eaten fresh, added to foods, or processed in different ways. It was especially valuable because it remained protected inside the bone after other tissues were exposed. In lean times, even old bones left by predators might be worth checking. Archaeologists can identify patterns of deliberate breakage, which reveal how carefully people extracted every useful part of an animal. This was not wasteful behavior. It was expert use. A carcass did not end with the obvious cuts. Hidden inside the hard white structure was a rich reserve, waiting for hands that knew how to open it. Stone Age people cracked bones with practiced efficiency. Breaking a bone for food or material was not random smashing. People learned where to strike, how much force to use, and which bones were worth the effort. Long bones could be opened for marrow. Smaller pieces could be shaped into points, awls, needles, or ornaments. Fresh bone behaves differently from dry bone, and skilled hands would know the difference. The angle of impact mattered. A clean fracture could make later shaping easier. Too much damage could ruin a useful blank. Cut marks and break patterns show that prehistoric butchery followed sequences. Skinning, dismembering, meat removal, marrow extraction, and tool production could all leave distinct traces. This turns a pile of broken bones into evidence of decisions. Ancient people saw potential where we might see scraps. Their efficiency came from necessity, but also from respect for useful material. Every part of an animal had to be considered before it was discarded. Hides had to be scraped, softened, dried, and shaped. Turning a fresh animal skin into something useful was hard work. Untreated hide can rot, stiffen, smell, or become useless. First, it had to be cleaned. Fat, flesh, and membranes were scraped away with stone or bone tools. Then the hide might be stretched on a frame or pegged to the ground. Softening required repeated bending, rubbing, or working by hand. Some methods used smoke, fat, brains, or other substances to help preserve flexibility. The result could become clothing, bedding, shelter covering, bags, straps, or wrapping for objects. This labor often happened away from the drama of the hunt, yet it was just as important. Without hide processing, an animal's protective skin could not become human protection. The work demanded strength, time, and knowledge of timing. Leave a hide too long, and decay begins. Work it well, and it becomes a durable material that carries warmth, shelter, and mobility. Sinew became cord, thread, bindings, and bowstring material. Tendons are tough because they connect muscle to bone. Prehistoric people learned to turn that toughness into technology. Once removed from an animal, sinew could be dried and split into long fibers. When moistened, it became flexible enough to wrap, sew, or bind. As it dried again, it tightened. This made it excellent for attaching stone points to shafts, stitching hides, repairing gear, and making strong cords. In later periods, sinew became important in bowstrings and composite weapons. Its strength came from the animal's own biology, redirected by human skill. Preparing it was not glamorous, but it was vital. A loose binding could make a weapon fail. A weak stitch could open clothing to cold. A broken cord could cost food or safety at the wrong moment. Sinew shows how deeply prehistoric people understood materials. They did not simply use stone and wood. They turned the hidden fibers of life into flexible engineering. Plant fibers could be twisted into rope, baskets, and nets. Some of the most important prehistoric technologies may have decayed almost completely. Plant fibers can be stripped from bark, stems, leaves, or roots, then twisted into cord. Cord can become rope. Rope can become handles, traps, baskets, carrying nets, shelter ties, and fishing gear. This means fiberwork may have supported daily life in countless ways that rarely survive in the ground. Making cordage is repetitive but skilled. Twist too loosely, and it falls apart. Twist too tightly, and it becomes brittle or awkward. The maker also needed to know which plants were strong, when to collect them, and how to prepare them. A basket could carry food that hands could not. A net could capture what a spear missed. A tied shelter could withstand weather better than loose branches. It is humbling to think that much of prehistoric genius was soft technology. It vanished easily, but while it lasted, it held life together. Resin and charcoal helped make powerful prehistoric adhesives. To build a strong composite tool, people needed more than a sharp stone and a wooden handle. They needed a way to join them. Natural resins from trees could become sticky when warmed. Charcoal, ochre, wax, or other materials could be mixed in to change texture and strength. The result could help secure a point, blade, or scraper onto a handle. This was clever chemistry. Too much heat could burn the mixture. Too little could leave it unusable. The adhesive had to grip under pressure, survive impact, and work with bindings. A hunter, depending on a hafted point, needed that join to hold at the crucial moment. These glues also made tools more efficient because handles improved leverage and protected the hand. A small stone edge became part of a larger machine. The wonder lies in the control. Ancient makers were not just finding materials, they were combining them into substances with new properties. Working with birch tar required controlled heating without modern containers. Making tar from birch bark is one of the most impressive examples of prehistoric problem solving. The bark must be heated so that sticky compounds are released, but it must not simply burn away in open flame. This means controlling oxygen, temperature, and placement with great care. Experiments show several possible methods, including heating bark near embers, using pits, or enclosing materials in ways that limit air. Whatever the exact technique, the result was a dark adhesive useful for hafting tools. The process suggests patience and repeated experimentation. A person had to understand that bark could transform through heat into something entirely different. They also had to remember the conditions that worked. This is why birch tar is so fascinating. It looks like a humble blob, but it contains a chain of thought. Before pottery, metal, or written recipes, people were already managing heat-driven transformation with enough precision to make reliable glue. Spears were balanced tools, not crude, sharpened sticks. A hunting spear had to feel right in the hand before it ever met an animal. Its shaft needed length, weight, straightness, and balance. A badly made spear could wobble, fall short, or strike without enough force. Ancient makers selected wood carefully, then shaped it with scraping, heating, and patient correction. Some spears were hardened in fire. Others carried stone or bone tips fixed with bindings and adhesive. Even a plain wooden point could be deadly if the shaft was well made. The balance mattered because a spear might be thrust at close range or thrown from a distance, depending on the hunt. It also had to survive impact. If it snapped too easily, all the work was wasted. The simplest-looking weapon could hold generations of experience in its shape. It was not just a stick with a point. It was a carefully tuned extension of the arm, built for accuracy, reach, and trust. Spear throws gave hunters greater reach and striking power. A spear thrower works by extending the hunter's arm. This extra length allows the projectile to leave the hand with more speed and force than an unaided throw. The idea is simple, but the effect can be dramatic. A hunter could stand farther from danger while sending a dart or light spear toward the target. That mattered when facing fast animals, wounded animals, or prey that could fight back. Making the thrower required understanding leverage. The hook had to fit the end of the projectile. The grip had to feel secure. The flexible motion had to transfer energy cleanly. Some later examples were decorated, which suggests these tools could carry meaning as well as function. For daily life, the advantage was practical. More distance meant more chances to survive a mistake. More force meant a better chance of penetration. With one shaped piece of wood, the human arm became longer than nature made it. Bows arrived later and changed hunting from a distance. The bow was a major shift in human technology because it stored energy before releasing it. A drawn bow bends under tension, then snaps back to launch an arrow faster than a hand could throw it. This allowed hunters to strike from farther away with a lighter projectile. It also rewarded a different style of skill. A spear could depend on strength and timing. A bow demanded quiet posture, careful aim, a knowledge of how wood, string, and arrow worked together. The materials had to match. A bow too weak would fail to kill effectively. A bow too brittle could break in the hand. Arrows needed straight shafts, balanced points, and feathers, or careful shaping for flight. In forested or broken landscapes, distance weapons could change what was possible. A hunter could remain hidden longer. A small animal could be taken without a dramatic chase. The bow made patience itself more powerful. Dogs may have joined human camps before farming began. The partnership between humans and dogs is older than fields, villages, and written history. Long before grain was planted, wolves and people may have begun living near one another in a cautious relationship. The first steps were probably not sudden. Some wolves may have lingered near camps for scraps. Less fearful animals would have survived better around humans. Over generations, a new kind of companion emerged. Early dogs were not pets in the modern sense, yet they could offer real advantages. They noticed sounds and smells that humans missed. They could warn of movement near camp. They may have helped track animals or recover wounded prey. For humans, the bond also brought warmth and company. For dogs, camps offered food and protection. This was not domestication as a single event. It was a slow crossing between species. Two hunters of the same world learned that life could be easier together. Early dogs helped with hunting, guarding, and companionship. A dog changes the feel of a camp. Its ears catch small sounds in the dark. Its nose reads trails that human senses cannot follow. Its presence may alert sleeping people before danger comes close. In hunting, a dog could help track, flush, corner, or retrieve, depending on the prey and the training. Even without formal commands, close daily contact would create understanding between species. A gesture, tone, or routine could guide behavior. The emotional side also mattered. Dogs may have offered comfort in a harsh world. They could sleep near people, share warmth, and become attached to individuals or families. Ancient burials of dogs in some places suggest that the bond grew deep enough to be marked after death. This partnership is extraordinary because it was built without written rules or modern breeding plans. It grew from shared attention. A human looked at a dog looked back, and both species changed. Wolves and humans succeeded because both understood teamwork. The connection between humans and wolves makes sense because both were social hunters. A lone wolf can hunt, but a pack can do far more. A lone human can survive, but a group can plan, surround, share, and defend. Both species read body movement. Both learn from older members. Both depend on cooperation during difficult tasks. This may have made early contact possible in a way that other animal relationships were not. Wolves could understand pursuit, hierarchy, warning, and group movement. Humans could recognize those patterns because they used similar strategies. Over time, the least fearful wolves near human camps may have found a new niche. People may have tolerated them because their presence was useful. The relationship did not erase danger at first. It likely began with distance, caution, and repeated exposure. Yet the shared logic of teamwork opened a doorway. From that doorway came one of the most important partnerships in human history. Some camps were built from mammoth bones and hides. On Ice Age plains where trees were scarce, people sometimes used the largest building materials available. Mammoth bones could form frames, weights, walls, or windbreaks. Tusks and long bones might help create a structure, while hides covered the outside to block wind and cold. These camps show extraordinary adaptation. Instead of waiting for wood, people used what the landscape provided. The bones may have come from hunted animals, scavenged carcasses, or places where mammoths had died naturally. Either way, moving and arranging them required group labor. Some sites contained circular patterns that suggest planned dwellings. Inside or nearby, archaeologists find hearths, tools, and food remains. This was architecture under harsh conditions. It also shows that a great animal could continue supporting human life long after death. Meat fed the group. Fat gave energy. Hide protected bodies. Bone helped shape shelter. In such places, survival was built from the very giants that shared the land. Ancient shelters could be carefully engineered against wind and cold. A shelter had to do more than stand upright. It had to solve the problems of weather. Cold wind steals heat quickly, so entrances, walls, and coverings had to be positioned with care. A low profile could resist strong gusts. Stones might hold down hides. Branches could create a frame. Snow itself might become insulation in some landscapes. The floor mattered too. Sleeping directly on cold ground could drain warmth, so people may have used hides, grasses, or brush as bedding. Smoke needed a way out without letting all the heat escape. These choices show practical engineering. They came from repeated experience with discomfort and danger. A failed shelter could mean sleeplessness, illness, or worse. A good one conserved energy and made harsh seasons survivable. It turned raw surroundings into a human space. Every peg, weight, covering, and opening had a purpose. Ancient shelter was not primitive. It was climate knowledge made physical. Cave floors preserved ash, tools, bones, and forgotten scraps. The ground inside an ancient cave can be like a slow archive. Each visit leaves something behind. A hearth drops ash. A meal leaves cracked bone. A toolmaker leaves flakes of stone. A child may drop a small object and never find it again. Over time, dust, mud, and new activity cover the old layer. Later visitors add their own traces above it. Archaeologists study these layers carefully because their order matters. A deeper layer is usually older than the one above, although caves can be disturbed by animals, water, or collapse. Within these deposits, tiny details reveal daily patterns. Charcoal can show where fires burned. Stone debris can show where people worked. Animal remains can show what was eaten or processed. The cave floor is not just dirt, it is compressed time. Ordinary scraps, ignored in the moment, become the evidence that allows a vanished life to be reconstructed. Sleeping near a fire brought warmth, danger, and comfort. A fire at night could save lives, but it also demanded respect. Sleep made people vulnerable. Flames could spread. Sparks could catch dry material. Smoke could sting the lungs if a shelter was poorly arranged. Yet the warmth was precious. It helped the body rest without burning too much energy against cold. It could discourage some animals from coming close. It provided a glow that made the darkness less complete. People may have taken turns tending embers or arranged fuel, so the fire lasted longer. Sleeping positions likely changed with the season and the shelter. The youngest, oldest, or sickest members may have needed the warmest spots. A hearth also created a sense of shared safety. Bodies gathered around it, close enough to hear movement and breathing. The fire was therefore both tool and companion. It had to be watched, fed, and contained, yet it gave the night a human center. Nights were filled with animal sounds modern cities have erased. For prehistoric people, darkness was not silent. It carried calls, rustles, wing beats, distant howls, and sudden movement beyond the firelight. Each sound could mean something. A herd shifting in the distance might suggest animals nearby. Alarm calls could warn of a predator. The crack of a branch might be wind, or it might be a body moving through brush. People learned to sort ordinary noise from danger. This kind of listening is almost lost to many modern lives, where engines and walls blunt the night. In a camp, ears mattered as much as eyes. Children would grow up knowing the sounds of their landscape the way modern people know traffic or household creaks. Night sound also shaped imagination. Unseen animals were close enough to be real and mysterious at once. The world beyond the glow was alive. Sleep came not in silence, but inside a living chorus that had to be understood. Predators shaped where people slept and how they moved. Large carnivores were not background details in prehistoric life. Lions, hyenas, wolves, bears, and other predators could compete for carcasses, threaten children, or occupy useful shelters. People had to think like animals that might be thinking about them. Camps were chosen with visibility, escape routes, and defensible positions in mind. Food waste had to be managed because smells could attract unwanted visitors. Travel through dense cover or near water might require extra caution. A fresh kill was especially dangerous because scavengers could arrive quickly. Humans were clever and cooperative, but they were not always at the top of every situation. The presence of predators shaped habits, timing, and nerves. It taught people to read tracks that were not prey tracks. It made fire, dogs, group sleeping, and watchfulness more valuable. Daily life included an awareness that the landscape contained other hunters, and some of them were stronger in the dark. Cave bears sometimes used the same caves as humans. A cave that looked useful to people could also look useful to a bear. Cave bears used underground spaces for hibernation, and their remains are found in many European caves. This created a striking overlap between human shelter and animal shelter. People entering such places had to be aware of signs. Scratches on walls, bones on the floor, bedding hollows, or smell could warn that a cave was not empty in the broader seasonal sense. Even if no bear was present, the space carried risk. A hibernating bear disturbed at the wrong time would be dangerous. The shared use of caves reminds us that humans did not simply claim the best shelters without competition. They negotiated the landscape with powerful animals. Sometimes people used a cave after bears. Sometimes bears used it after people. The cave was not a private house. It was a valuable hollow in the earth, visited by different lives for different reasons. Injured Neanderthals survived because others cared for them. Some Neanderthal remains show long-healed injuries that would have made life difficult. Severe damage to limbs, loss of teeth, or chronic illness could reduce a person's ability to hunt, chew, or move quickly. Yet these individuals sometimes lived for years after such problems appeared. That survival strongly suggests help from others. Food may have been prepared in easier forms. Companions may have slowed travel or offered protection. The person may also have contributed knowledge, childcare, tool skill, or social memory. This is important because Neanderthals were once unfairly portrayed as brutish and simple. Their bones tell a different story. Kia was part of their world. It did not require hospitals or written ethics. It required recognition that another member of the group still mattered. In the healed fractures and worn bodies of ancient people, we see a form of social strength. Survival was shared, and compassion had practical roots in daily life. Shanidar Cave suggests compassion had deep prehistoric roots. In the mountains of northern Iraq, Shanidar Cave has produced some of the most discussed Neanderthal remains ever found. One individual had serious injuries and impairments, yet lived long enough for bones to heal and conditions to become chronic. This has often been interpreted as evidence that others helped him survive. The cave has also been associated with debates about burial, care, and the emotional lives of Neanderthals. Some older interpretations have been revised over time, but the site remains powerful because it forces a larger question. How far back does human-like concern extend? The answer seems to reach very deep. A person who could not manage every task alone still remained within the group. Others must have tolerated the cost, or perhaps valued him for reasons not preserved in bone. Shanidar does not give us a simple, sentimental story. It gives us something stronger. It gives evidence that Kia was woven into survival long before modern civilization. Burial rituals show that death carried meaning long before writing. At some prehistoric sites, bodies appear to have been placed deliberately rather than left where they fell. A careful burial changes the meaning of death. It suggests that the dead were treated as more than remains to be ignored. The body might be positioned, covered, protected, or placed in a chosen location. Such acts require time and attention from the living. They also interrupt daily survival, which means the action mattered. We cannot know every belief behind these burials. They may have involved grief, memory, fear, respect, or ideas about what came after death. The important point is that death was socially recognized. A person's life did not simply vanish when breath ended. Others responded. They shaped the final moment with gesture and placement. Long before written prayers or carved tombs, people found ways to mark loss. Burial shows that the emotional world of prehistory was not empty. It was deep enough to leave traces in the ground. Grave goods hinted beliefs we can never fully recover. Sometimes ancient burials contain objects placed with the dead. These might include tools, ornaments, pigments, animal parts, or items of personal value. The meaning is difficult to pin down. Were these gifts for another world? Signs of identity? Marks of affection? Practical equipment for a journey imagined after death? We cannot ask the mourners, and we must be careful not to force modern ideas onto them. Still, the placement of objects shows intention. Something was selected and given up by the living. That sacrifice matters because useful objects took labor to make. A bead, blade, or carved item could have remained in circulation, but instead it stayed with the dead. Grave goods therefore reveal a relationship between memory and material things. They suggest that people connected objects with persons in ways that outlasted life. The mystery is part of their power. These items whisper that ancient beliefs existed, even when their exact words are gone. Some bodies were decorated with ochre before burial. In several prehistoric burials, red pigment appears with human remains. Sometimes it was sprinkled over the body. Sometimes it stained the surrounding soil or objects nearby. The color would have been striking when fresh. It may have symbolized life, blood, renewal, protection, or transformation, although we cannot know for certain. What we do know is that using pigment took effort. It had to be gathered, prepared, and brought to the burial. That means the act was deliberate. The living changed the appearance of the dead before letting them go. This practice connects the body with color in a way that feels deeply human, even if its meaning remains out of reach. It may also link burial with broader traditions of body marking or object decoration. The dead were not always hidden without ceremony. In some cases, they were treated with visual care. Red earth became part of farewell, and the ground kept the trace. The dead sometimes rested near the living camp. Not every burial was placed far away. In some cases, the dead were buried near areas where people lived or returned. This closeness suggests that death did not always sever someone from the social world. A burial near camp might keep the person within memory, territory, or family identity. It could also mark a place as meaningful across repeated visits. Living near the dead may feel strange to many modern people, but it can make sense in a world where ancestors, land, and group memory were closely connected. The body in the ground could become part of why people returned to a place. It could remind children who belonged there before them. It could hold grief within the ordinary rhythm of life, rather than pushing it away. Archaeologically, such burials are powerful because they connect domestic traces with emotional ones. The same landscape could hold cooking, working, sleeping, and remembering. Daily life left more traces in rubbish than monuments. Prehistoric people did not build many monuments in the periods we often call caveman times, but they left something more revealing. They left debris, broken tools, ash, Bones, shells, charcoal, flakes of stone, and worn-out objects can tell us how people actually lived. Rubbish is honest in a way grand architecture often is not. It shows repeated habits, not just special occasions. A heap of shells reveals meals. A scatter of flakes reveals tool-making. Burned bone can show cooking or fuel use. The location of waste can reveal how a camp was organized. What looks like disorder may contain patterns if studied carefully. Archaeologists often learn the most from what ancient people no longer wanted. That is a fascinating reversal. The scraps thrown aside outlasted the spoken stories, the shelters, and the clothing. In the end, ordinary mess became the archive of daily life, preserving small decisions that no one expected to be remembered. Broken tools can reveal the habits of individual hands. A stone tool is shaped by choices. Where the maker struck, how they held the core, how they repaired an edge, and when they gave up all leaf traces. With enough detail, researchers can sometimes reconstruct sequences of action from scattered flakes. A broken tool may show a mistake, a change of plan, or a preferred technique. Some patterns suggest skilled hands. Others show beginners learning. This brings us very close to individual people. Not their names, but their habits. One person may have struck with confidence. Another may have corrected a bad angle. A tool can also carry wear from the way it was used. Cutting hide leaves different microscopic marks than working wood or bone. The object becomes a record of touch. It is easy to think of prehistory in huge spans of time, but broken tools shrink that distance. They show a person making decisions in a single moment, with stone in hand. Tooth marks show ancient people used their mouths as tools. Human teeth were not only for eating. In prehistoric life, the mouth could act as a third hand. People may have held hide, sinew, plant fiber, or other materials between their teeth while cutting, pulling, or softening them. Over time, this left distinctive wear. Front teeth could become chipped, grooved, or polished in unusual ways. Such marks reveal daily habits that tools alone might miss. They show bodies being used as part of technology. A person working hide might grip an edge with the teeth while scraping with both hands. Someone making cord could hold fibers under tension. These actions were practical, but they came at a cost. Teeth wore down, and dental pain could become serious. The evidence is intimate because it records repeated gestures. We can almost see the posture of work. The mouth was not separate from craft. It helped hold, pull, clamp, and prepare the materials of survival. Worn teeth record diets, crafts, and childhood stress. Teeth are some of the most informative parts of an ancient body. They survive well, and they preserve a lifetime of clues. Heavy wear can show abrasive foods or the use of teeth in work. Tiny scratches may suggest the texture of what a person ate. Chemical signals in enamel can reveal aspects of childhood diet and movement. Enamel defects can mark periods of illness or hunger while a child was growing. Calculus, the hardened plaque on teeth, can trap microscopic particles from food, smoke, plants, and the environment. This makes a mouth into a record of daily life. It can show not only what people consumed, but also the stresses their bodies endured. A tooth may look small, yet it carries biography. It formed at a particular time, wore down through repeated habits, and stayed with the person until death. In ancient teeth, private experience becomes visible after thousands of years. Ancient plaque can preserve traces of meals and plant medicines. Dental plaque is usually something people try to remove, but when it hardens into calculus, it can become an archaeological treasure. It traps tiny fragments that entered the mouth during life. Starch grains, plant fibers, smoke particles, proteins, and even traces of microbes can become sealed inside. This means ancient plaque can reveal foods that leave little evidence elsewhere. It can also hint at plant use beyond simple eating. Some remains suggest people chewed bitter or medicinal plants, perhaps to treat pain, illness, or parasites. The discovery is remarkable because it comes from the most ordinary place imaginable. A film on the teeth becomes a time capsule. It preserves traces of chewing, breathing, cooking smoke, and environment. While bones tell us about the body, plaque can tell us about moments of contact between body and world. It is one of the smallest archives of prehistory and one of the most personal. Neanderthals may have used bitter plants for healing. Evidence from ancient dental calculus suggests that some Neanderthals consumed plants with strong tastes and possible medicinal effects. This does not prove medicine in the modern sense, but it suggests they were not eating only for calories. Bitter plants are often avoided unless there is a reason to tolerate them. Some may help with inflammation, parasites, or pain, while others can be harmful if used incorrectly. Knowing the difference requires experience. Neanderthals lived in demanding environments where injury and infection were real threats. If they learned that certain plants eased discomfort or helped the body recover, that knowledge would be worth remembering. It may have been shared through observation, taste, and tradition. The idea changes how we imagine them. They were not simply enduring sickness without response. They may have experimented with the living pharmacy around them. A bitter mouthful could represent care, curiosity, and practical knowledge of the natural world. Smoke, cold, and injury made prehistoric life physically demanding. Daily life placed constant strain on the body. Smoke from fires could irritate eyes and lungs, especially in enclosed shelters. Cold required extra energy and careful protection. Long walks over uneven ground stressed feet, knees, hips, and backs. Carrying food, fuel, children, hides, and tools added more effort. Injuries were common because stone edges cut, hunts were dangerous, and accidents happened far from modern help. Even simple infections could become serious. Yet prehistoric bodies were also adapted by use. People developed strength, endurance, and practical movement through daily necessity. Their lives were not constant misery, but they were physically unforgiving. Rest mattered because work was real. A small wound, a wet night, or a failed journey could change everything. This is why cooperation, skill, and planning were so important. The body carried the cost of survival every day, and every scar or worn joint tells part of that story. Life expectancy was lower, but many adults reached older ages. It is easy to misunderstand ancient life expectancy. A low average does not mean everyone died young. High infant and childhood mortality pulled the average downward. If a person survived the most dangerous early years, they might live into adulthood, middle age, or beyond. Older adults were not rare miracles in every group. Some skeletons show long lives marked by worn teeth, healed injuries, and degenerative joint changes. These people would have been valuable for knowledge, care, and social stability. Their presence also mattered emotionally. Children could know grandparents. Young adults could learn from experienced relatives. This makes prehistoric communities feel less alien. They contain different ages with different strengths and needs. The danger was real, but the image of a world where everyone died at 30 is too simple. Life was uncertain, not uniformly short. Some people carried decades of memory, and those decades helped guide the group. Ice Age people lived alongside animals that now seem mythical. The world of early humans included creatures that feel almost imaginary today. Mammoths crossed open plains. Woolly rhinoceroses grazed in cold steppe. Giant deer carried enormous antlers. Cave lions and cave hyenas competed in the same landscapes that humans used. These were not monsters from legend. They were neighbors, dangers, food sources, and presences in daily awareness. People saw their tracks, heard them at night, watched their movements, and sometimes painted them on cave walls. Living beside such animals shaped imagination as well as survival. A mammoth was not just impressive. It was a source of meat, fat, bone, ivory, and risk. A lion was not just frightening. It was a rival hunter with its own territory. When those animals vanished, the human world changed too. To think of Ice Age life is to remember that people once shared their days with beings that would now stop the world in astonishment. Their world was dangerous, but it was also deeply understood. Danger did not mean confusion. Prehistoric people lived with risks that modern life has softened, but they also carried knowledge that many of us would struggle to imagine. They knew where to find water when a surface stream disappeared. They knew which stones were worth carrying. They knew how weather changed animal movement. They recognized the difference between safe curiosity and fatal mistake. The landscape was full of threats, yet it was also full of familiar signs. This understanding came from childhood learning, repeated journeys, and stories passed through generations. It was not perfect. People still suffered, failed, and died. But they were not helpless figures wandering through a hostile world. They were experts in their own environments. Their intelligence was practical, embodied, and constantly tested. What seems wild to us was home to them. The land was dangerous, but it was also readable, remembered, and lived in with remarkable skill. The daily life of cavemen was intelligent, social, and astonishingly human. When we look past the old stereotype, the ancient world becomes much more moving. These people worked, learned, cared, argued, taught, repaired, remembered, and planned. They made tools with precision. They carried children across difficult ground. They decorated bodies and objects. They listened to weather, watched animals, and passed knowledge through voices that left no recording. Their lives were not simple rehearsals for civilization. They were complete human lives, shaped by different challenges and different materials. Much of what mattered most has vanished. The jokes, names, songs, fears, and favorite places are gone. Yet enough remains to show a familiar pattern. A hearth with people around it, a repaired tool, a healed injury, a child's hand on stone, a burial made with care. These traces do not feel distant because they are grand. They feel close because they are ordinary. Across the darkness of time, daily life still looks recognizably human. And so, we have reached the end of our journey through the daily life of a caveman. We have stepped into a world where every day asked for skill, patience, and awareness. A world where a footprint could become a message, a stone could become a tool, and a small fire could turn the dark into a place of warmth and safety. We have seen that these ancient people were not distant shadows. They were families, makers, learners, travelers, and storytellers. They shaped shelters from the materials around them. They followed animals across changing landscapes. They gathered food with deep knowledge of the seasons. They painted caves, carried beads, made music, cared for the injured, and marked the passing of the dead with meaning. Their world was harsh, but it was also full of human attention. Every hide that was softened, every blade that was repaired, and every child who learned by watching belonged to a life built from memory and care. And now, as that ancient fire begins to settle in your mind, you can let the story soften too. Let the stone tools rest where they were placed. Let the painted animals fade back into the cave wall. Let the footsteps disappear into the old earth. If you enjoyed this journey, you are welcome to like, subscribe, or leave a thought below. It helps others find their way here too. And if you are still awake, there should be another video waiting on the screen, ready to carry you into another corner of history. But for now, there is nothing more to follow. Let your shoulders loosen. Let your breathing slow. Let the day fall away piece by piece. Sleep well, and good night.